Hello, I'm Kathleen Wynne, Ontario Minister of Education. I think we can all agree that everyone should feel safe, welcome, and respected in all of our schools. All students deserve the opportunity to reach their full potential. To do that, they need to feel safe so that they can focus on learning. Young people notice silence and they notice inaction. We can all stand up to show that discrimination and harassment are not acceptable. Everyone has the right to be safe, strong, and free.
I learned how to run, actually, by getting chased on the playground every single recess of every single day with the threat of getting beat up. That was my childhood.
We went outside to play dashball, and you have to run and catch somebody, and you have to run, somebody has to catch you. And there was nobody wanted to catch me, and nobody even wanted me to get close to them. And I feel like I was nobody.
The impact it has on girls is that we just don't feel as able to put our thoughts out there and are a lot quieter in classes.
Equity and inclusion have everything to do with learning, because if you don't have the basic necessities, which is confidence, motivation, encouragement, you can't go forward with anything in your life. So you need support in any way, shape, or form you can get.
I'm fighting to make it easier for the younger people that are coming up and coming out. So I really, really would like to see it a lot easier, though, because it was very hard at points. There were points where I had no one and I was alone.
It's so much harder to tell someone you're transgender because they just don't know what you're talking about, you know? It's like, what's that? And they're bound to think you're strange just because it's this unheard of thing.
The way an institution could facilitate that is that they could do, say, they could say, bring it up in class that, there are transgendered kids and it's okay to be trans. Because if it was just that little thing told to me or any other trans youth I know, we could have saved like 8 years or 9 years of stuff that shouldn't have happened.
The hard part is trying to be accepted and then also not judging themselves, because there's so much internalized stuff.
Say, for example, if I go into a girl's bathroom, I know any abuse I get is going to be verbal. Like, I can take care of myself, I'm not too worried about that. But then if I go into a guy's washroom, for example, it could be physical. So either way, my safety is being challenged in some way.
A lot of students and teachers who are other than straights still feel unsafe in schools.
The main issue is loneliness, really. I mean, you can't even begin to explain how that feels like or how to deal with it, because you can't talk about it because there is no one to talk about it. So
I recall feeling really lost and kind of invisible, not having someone to talk to.
Today, I stand beside them and they just all went away. I smelled myself. I was like, am I smelling or something? No, it's not that. They're just judging my skin.
Because like I'm just by myself and there's like a group of those guys saying stuff about like the way I look and stuff. And yeah, I just was outnumbered and just more negative energy towards me.
But I felt that there was some sort of dislike, where it wasn't an evil dislike, but it's just kind of kids who did not like the difference that they were seeing.
During high school, I went to a predominantly black high school, and you would think that there would be no racism, but there was a lot of shadeism, which a lot of people don't talk about, and that started to put everybody in different classes. So if you were light skinned, all of a sudden all the dark skinned girls didn't like you. Or if you were dark skinned, all of the light skinned girls had something to say about you.
Because I'm black, like a lot of students in my school think I like act a certain way or should dress a certain way or like that I live a certain way, and there's just a lot of stereotypes that I think people have.
A lot of people, when they heard the name of that school, already put you in a certain place. They write, oh, you're from that school. Okay, well there's a lot of crime in that school, or that school doesn't really produce a lot of anything other than basketball per se. You know, so then you were frowned upon. It didn't matter being honors, being president, it didn't matter. There is definitely sexism in school. I see it all the time. I mean, there are specific classes, especially classes like gym class, that are just it's so obviously there. Like when, I don't know, if we're doing fitness training, it's like, okay, girls, you do girl push-ups, and boys, you can do the full boy push-ups.
It is obvious, especially for me being a female student, having gone through like sports training and all those kind of things. To say that it's not an issue is naive at best and extremely dangerous. Like, it's extremely dangerous.
I think another way sexism plays out in schools are these really narrow gender roles for both boys and girls. And so whenever someone feels that those narrow gender roles don't really fit them, and they kind of go outside of those gender roles, they get ostracized, made fun of, bullied. And that's true for girls who, like me, who like to have short hair and like to play sports, and it's true for boys who kind of really like to cook and like to dance.
I think the effect on girls is having to be a stereotype, you know, having to either be the really, you know, kind of butch, kind of sexless, nerdy girl, or the really feminine slut who doesn't know anything. And for those of us who want to be a girl but also want to learn and want to just be our own person, I find there's not a lot of room to be that.
I remember for myself people saying, oh, you're so brave to cut your hair, and oh, I can never do that. And I always thought it was kind of silly that they were saying that, because it's nothing to do with bravery. It's who I want to be. It's how I want to portray myself with that. I look good with short hair. So it has nothing to do with bravery. You shouldn't have to be brave to be who you want to be.
Our young people spend the majority of their childhood and youth in school, in a school setting, and it's a very uncomfortable place for many.
I hear kids say things like, if I didn't come back to school tomorrow, I don't think anyone would notice, or I think they would be glad that I wasn't here. I think that's very sad.
Thank God that I'm older and I understand, but most of the time I worried about my little sisters and brothers, because I have a brother who's really dark skinned and they make fun of him most of the time.
I would run away from schools, and schools would ask, is there a problem at home because he's running away from school? No, there was a problem at school because I was not accepted.
So sometimes for weeks he stayed home, you know? And you see stuff like that happens to your brother, happening to you. There's a time you're gonna give up and you're gonna blow out.
Going to school was like a pain for me. I have to skip class like every 3 days in a week, just because of the names I was getting, the nagging I was getting in school. So after I finished high school, I was planning to apply for college, and I said no way.
I have to remind myself all the time not to assume something about why a student isn't coming to class, or why a student isn't doing well on tests because they're lazy or because they don't understand. There are so many things going on with each and every person that walks through the class door.
I always look at it as how would I like my own children to be treated in school? And I would hope that every person's child, when they go to school, has an opportunity to be free of any barriers and anything that's going to keep them from fulfilling their potential.
It's important for the kids to see us doing activities that might not be viewed as strictly, male activities.
If you can be open, and think how many students it's helping.
Letting the students know that we're in the process of learning. If we don't know about something, or if we're not necessarily comfortable with something, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means we're in the process of learning and understanding better, because that's what it is to be an educator, I think.
I would love to tell the teachers that if they see a colored student, they have to know that they're going through a lot.
If you have a student walk into your classroom, don't automatically assume their gender.
I'll think about to grade 5, I was like a really bad bully, and I felt kind of excluded.
An outlet at school that's like run by the administration is really helpful because it's like a safe place with teachers around, so there can't be like any bullying happening right there, where people can talk about their experiences and also ask questions.
There was this one teacher, and she told me, she just came up to me and said one simple thing. She's like, Tahara, you don't have to be like this. And in that simple line, it changed my life forever.
Just go really simple. We all have something to offer.
I think that the best responses I've seen teachers give when faced with an issue about sexism or homophobia was to just kind of not to let it slip by, but to address it.
As a teacher, it's my responsibility to, kind of call people on it as soon as I hear it. And so, but the trick always is not to, punish someone or kind of embarrass them, but to educate them.
It wouldn't be okay to say, that's so black or that's so Jewish or anything like that either. And sometimes when you qualify it in those terms, then they start to get it.
And to have the conversation with the students when the students say, I don't mean anything by it, they're just words, and say, actually, those words are hurtful. Actually, those words do perpetuate hate and ultimately could lead to violence.
Interrupt it every time and recognize that diversity is all the diversity issues. That if you let homophobia happen in your classroom, you are also letting racism happen in your classroom. You're also letting ableism happen in your classroom, and you're letting faith-based discrimination happen in your classroom. You have to do it all together.
Inclusion and equity, or inclusionary practices, if I may say, is a social responsibility for all of us. It's not something that we do and we feel good about ourselves, or that we're doing something good out of the goodness of our heart to other people. It's to do something because we're responsible citizens.
You have a lot of things inside and you're burning inside, and when somebody listening to you and they really take it serious, it means a lot.
You just need to listen and never give up, and not just hear the person, but really listen and understand what they're saying, because they're saying it to you for a reason. And never give up, because you could be the difference in someone's life.
We all are human, and we all need to be loved just as everyone else do. That's it. That's it.
Everyone has the right to be safe,
strong,
and free.